So now what offset function do? Basically, to understand in an easy manner, offset is first thing is that is a volatile function. Now, volatile function means that when you apply the offset function either in your management information system reports, MIS reports, or any financial models, or any in the kind of an analysis which you are doing in Microsoft Excel and you are using the offset function, this is a volatile function because it captures your memory every second. So when you are doing any other work within the Excel and your offset is available in the workbook, it just keep on updating itself. We don't have any specific criteria to stop the offset function by utilizing your memory. So sometimes it slow down your models as well when you have a large models of 100 MB files. But in a small data sets, for example, you have 50,000 rows, 1 lakh rows. We are not talking about the big data issues within the Excel, but we are talking about the small database. Offset functions is okay if you have a minimum of 4 GB of RAM in your system, because offset systems, particularly offset, indirect, and raws, these kind of functions basically captures your memory RAM when you use the Excel throughout your processes. So one kind of a limitation with the offset function is, but coming back to this fundamentals is the formula breakdown or the function breakdown for the offset function is that offset function has 5 arguments and 2 are the optionals. Okay, and we need to understand that how we have to utilize them. So the first argument is the reference. Reference means the starting point from where we need to start. Rows means how many rows we need to move, how many columns we need to move, and what will be the height. As you know that columns has a width and rows has a height. So this height is representing the rows, that what will be the height. And I will give you a practical example so you will understand it more clearly. But for understanding it a bit technical side, you have height and width as a optional argument. You can use it or you can skip that as well. Okay, but this function is specifically used in a specific kind of scenarios, not every time, because it's very volatile and it's very dynamic as well. It moves automatically if you have set it very correctly with the other function. Okay, so to make it more easy for you, you can see the comparison between the offset breakdown, and what it means is, so the reference means the start in this cell. Rows means either you can go up or down for a specific number of rows. Columns, either you can go left side, right side, whatever you want. There is a freedom of this. Okay, and the height of range and the width of range. So the offset function, first primarily example, as you can see on your screen. In this screenshot, I have used the sum function and the offset function, and technically it's a screenshot from a website called ExcelJet. Okay, so these are the technical side of the Excel offset function. Let me go through it quickly and then I will come back to the practical side of this function. The purpose is to create a reference offset from the starting point, that how this offset function will move. It will return a cell reference, and remember that offset function is practically used with other functions as well. It's a combination of different functions altogether. So offset function can be used to build now the usage, because you are thinking that where we can use this function, what is the main purpose of using that function. The first usage is offset can be used to build a dynamic name ranges for the charts or pivot tables. If you want to make a dynamic name ranges for the charts or the pivot tables and you need to update it always, you can use the offset function. Offset only returns a reference, cells will not be moved. Both rows and columns can be supplied as negative numbers. If you want to move reverse, you can use negative numbers in this function as well, which we can't use in the index match and the VLOOKUP to move upward, downward, left and right. Okay. So offset, as we discussed, offset is a volatile formula. it is recalculated whenever there is any change to a worksheet. So it's technically slow down the Excel complicated worksheet if it's a very big size. And offset will display the reference error value if the offset is outside the edge of the worksheet. So these are some of the situations where you can utilize offset. The first situation is, for example, if you want to get the sum or average of the last 7 transactions, offset is the best function. Return the last value in a column, look up two values in a table, creating a dynamic range in the charts. Yes, you can use the offset function. For the moving averages, you can calculate through the offset function. So these are some of the scenarios in which we can utilize the offset function, but this is not limited to this scope. There are other many examples which I will share with you after the webinar's end in a form of practice files, so that you can go through and you can hands-on and you can learn long-term in your memory for this function. So now first let's come to the practical side. Ahmed Murtaza is saying, will you gonna share this presentation file and working template with us? Ahmed, I guess you have joined us late. I am copying and pasting the instructions again so you can read it out in the chat window. Thank you, and let's get back to the topic. All right, so very quickly, let me show you that how the offset formula will work. Now, as we gone through the presentation, and we saw that there are 5 different arguments. The first one is the reference point, yeah, means the starting point. Rows, how many rows you want to move. If you don't want to move, you will write 0. How many columns you want to move? 0, if you don't want to move. Height and width, as you know that for the rows we have the height, we can increase and decrease the height, and for the columns we have the width. So for example, if I'm standing on A1 and I need to go to D3, so let me ask a question for you. Let me make a question for you. I'm standing on A1 and I particularly go to the cell D3. How many rows and columns I need to move to reach to D3? Can you write in the chat window, please? To go from A1 to D3, how many columns and rows I need to move? Okay, let's understand this, how many rows and columns we need to move to get to the D3, right? So thank you for your feedback again, and let me just clear this window. All right, so my starting point is A1, as you know. So I need to move, I need to go to the D3, right? Let me highlight it again so that you can understand. I need to move 2 rows, not 3 rows, because I'm already standing on the A1. Further, I need to move to the 2 rows downwards. So this is 1, this is 2, 2 rows downwards. Okay. So when I write 2 here, I move 2 rows downwards, and from here, first column, second column, and 3 column. So I will write 3 here. So as you can see that starting from A1, we move downwards 2 rows and 3 columns to reach to from A1 to D3. And for increase, and what is the purpose of height and width? If we increase the number of height, for example 3, so height means vertical, so 3 rows are highlighted, and by increasing the size of the width, columns are highlighted. So 3 by 3 means we have increased the height and width of the rows and columns from our starting point. So this is how you move dynamically. For example, -1, no, 2. Okay, or if I change the number here, for example 5, I will Now I am moving towards a kind of an rows and columns which I need. Okay, so this is how you need to fill the criterias according to the requirement. But at this point of time, understand that I am hard coding that numbers. So sometimes you need to hard code the number. Sometimes you, if you make it, need to make it a dynamic, you need to add the other functions with the combination of offset. And in the next two examples, I will be using some additional functions to make it more dynamic. Okay, so let's go to the, I hope you have understood this animated kind of a example. Now we will be moving towards the offset practical example. Yes, we have moved 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, we will not count the starting point as a row. Remember that. For those of you who are saying 3 by 3, that's not the correct one, because we will not count the reference point as a row. Okay, all right. So let's get to the first example. Now, as you can see here, we have 4 different products, month-wise sales. These are actual sales, and I have given the numbers as a temporary uh, dummy number so that we can understand it quickly. So I have used the 10 everywhere so that we can calculate it very quickly. Now here we need to calculate the YTD. Now for those of you who don't know what is YTD, is year to date, and I request if any one of you can explain what is year to date in the chat window, please, so that all of you can understand. For those who do not have the idea of YTD, what is YTD is. So if you have idea what is YTD, kindly write in the chat window. Yes, for this particular example, it's it can be from Jan to December, but it's not fixed that it always start from Jan to December. It can be any YTD. Technically, it will start from the Jan, but for example, if we are in the month of July and we want to calculate the YTD, that it will be from Jan till July, for example. If we are during that particular year or the quarter, so the YTD will be the different. But for in this kind of a scenario example, it's from Jan to December. You are very right. Okay. So now, uh, handling the YTD through the offset, how we can do that, we need to understand that. Okay. And this will be the example which will give you the clear idea that how you can use the offset. But as I mentioned, there are many examples. There is a very large scope of the offset, so that if you have a question uh, which is kind of a very advanced, so I suggest that you can contact me after the webinar through the email so that I can share practical more examples within the offset function and do the practice as much as you can, because these kind of functions are very necessary to learn for an Excel user. Okay, so let me get back to that, how we can use the YTD. See, the first primarily thing which comes in our mind is that we can use the sum as well. For Jan to December, and to calculate the YTD, we can use the sum function which gives us the YTD balance. But now, for example, if a person needs a YTD balance from Jan to March only, okay, so in this case, the YTD is coming from Jan to December, and we need to get the YTD only for the Jan, Feb, and March. That's it. That's our first point to understand. So, any idea what we can do? If we just need a sum of 3 functions as a YTD, for example, we are assuming that YTD is from Jan to March. So I need to change this function. Yeah, exactly. So what I need to do is I need to change it, and definitely I need to remove, I need to edit that function, and again I will revise the sum function from Jan to March only. Now later on, for example, if if the manager says that calculate the YTD balance from Jan to May, so again I need to expand this manually. I need to increase the width. I need to increase the width of this Jan to May range manually within the sum function, and then my formula will be revised. So to get the particular YTD of our choice, we need to every time edit the formula of some function, and we need to increase or decrease the height and width, uh, especially the width as well. So to make it dynamic, we can utilize the combination of sum, offset, and the rows function, and it will be uh, very much dynamic on just a one go. So let's understand that how we can do. Before proceeding to this explanation, I need your feedback. Do you have an understanding what month function returns? Have you ever used the month function? What does it do? Kindly write in the chat window, please. Yes, the month value. Okay, the value of the month. For example, let me give you a demonstration of this. For example, if I have a date and I need to find out that which month is in this particular date. So I'm just extracting the number of the month. So equals to month and then cell reference, and it returns 4 because we know that in the slash format the months comes at the first left side. So this is the month of the April, and we got the 4 here for right. So we will be utilizing this month function within the offset to increase the width of YTD ranges dynamic. Okay, and how we will proceed, let me first create a formula for that, and then I will explain it to you. Meanwhile, you can see on my screen and understand that how it goes. So now let me explain this function to you. That's basically the formula to you that. All right. So I have used the sum function. Why? Because we need a total. First of all, why we have utilized the sum function with the offset? Because we need more than 1 month sum altogether. So that's why we have used the sum function, right? Then the offset, because we know that our YTD demand will change, and every month I don't need to make sure to revise the sum function. I need to make a range which automatically will be dynamic, and it can be controlled as we discussed by the offset function. So the reference point which I have picked is from B5. B5 is my starting cell, as you can see on my screen, which is the B5. Okay, and this B5 is the reference point. This means the starting point. And from this particular point, how many rows I need to move. But definitely are all four different products are on different rows. The first product A is on row number 1, product B is on row number 2, product C row number 3. So to create a dynamic serial number, to change the raw number every time, I have used the rows function. Okay, and 0 for the columns, because we don't need to move column. We just need to increase the width of the columns. And to increase the width of the columns, we have used the month. And now, as you can see that in the month, we have used the B2. B2 is a reference of a cell which contains a date. So now, for example, if I write 6 here, I am just changing the cell B2 which contains a date, and I'm writing a 6 here. And now you can see that this YTD is from Jan to June. If someone asks me to have the YTD from Jan to October, so if I know that the October is the 10th month of a year, I just need to write a date and it changes automatically. Now why it's changing? Because every time the month function is increasing the width. And how it increasing the width? Because it's taking a number from these date cell. Okay, so to give you a conclusion about the offset is that offset does not comes every time as a standalone function. It can be nested with different kind of functions, because you need a overall impact on your business solution, that how it will be dynamically move with certain kind of a different functions. And in this example, that's why I picked this example to nest some offset rows and month all together, so that you can have an idea that how you can use the YTD balances dynamically within the ranges. Okay, and let me give you a reference point which I am seeing on the chat window that will clear. What you need to do is you can go to the exceljet.net and find out the offset function. And here you can particularly see the practical examples, the questions which you were asking from me. Your queries will be handled here very easily. Now you can see that the first practical situation shows you that sum of every n rows, even rows, odd rows. So you can see here that offset does not come standalone. You need to have the knowledge of other functions as well. But these are the practical examples which will give you an idea that how the offset functions being utilized in different kind of situations. So